almost 4 or 5 years after I'd been working. I didn't quite understand why people would refer to the artwork as being quite unique until one day I was sitting in the office of the eye surgeon. He turned to this trainee eye surgeon and said, "Have a look at Ralph's eyes. He's got keratoconus. He can't see straight lines."
Ralph I've known for about 30 years. Keratoconus is a condition that usually starts in childhood, where the front window of the eye, we call the cornea, changes shape. So instead of being round, people with keratoconus, the shape of the eye is distorted. And so the light doesn't focus properly. Normally the eye should be a dome, but this is now becoming conical and a cone, and they don't really see straight lines. Everything's out of focus, and they're just noticing that it gradually gets worse and worse.
Everything I look at, if you're looking at contrast in a shot, the idea is contrast often gives you sharpness. The way I normally describe my experience is to go to a corner in a room and I'll say to people, you can see a straight line. What I see, there's a kind of slight halo. In order to keep my sight and give me the sight, I need to wear hard contact lenses on my eyes.
I sort of just offhand sort of say, well, you know, Ralph has never seen a straight line in his life. And that became like a light bulb moment, I think, for both of us. In terms of Ralph and his vision, I mean, he actually noticed as a young person that his vision was distorting and changing. Then he had a sudden eye drops, so he suddenly lost vision in one eye. And that's very scary for a young person to go through. They're completely blurred, completely white, and that they've lost vision in one eye. Now that usually takes about 6 months to improve, but they often need a whole lot of extra help in terms of glasses, contact lenses, sometimes other surgeries to get the shape right.
The first development of this particular artwork came out of a mental health problem, and I went kayaking. And when I was kayaking, I saw these absolutely beautiful reflections on the surface of the water. They formed almost beautiful watercolour paintings, quite by accident. I took a few photos, I showed them to some friends, and they all said, this is really fabulous. And suddenly I saw that I had a body of artwork that stood up to scrutiny by both buyers and critics alike. But the other thing is that extraordinary connection with nature. You know, people find it in bushwalking, climbing huge mountains. I find my connection with nature in a kayak on the water. It's really beautifully meditative. It's not my place of escape, it's just a place where I feel I know who I am.
Ralph's art has this beautiful form, and there's all these waves and sinuous and out of focus areas and in focus areas, and it's got a fluidity that I think really reflects Ralph's view of the world. Ralph has had his ups and downs during the years. He's appreciated when the vision was sharper and clearer, but then also when the vision was not so sharp and clear and more fluid. And you sort of reflect on your own experiences. Patients go through this journey of, you know, bad vision, then suddenly the vision goes really well, then it goes bad again, and they try and get better again, and it's this up and down for their whole life.
I began to understand, quite accidentally, why my artwork looked like it does. And the artwork might be abstract in its construct, but it's not. What people are looking at is reflections in a moment in time that occurred, a reality. The artworks are deliberately constructed on my part to, one, reflect what I see, but two, to ask the question, what is it that you're looking at? And when I tell them they're looking at a photograph, they're quite shocked. Their brain often can't take it. And then even more, I will ask them to describe what they are looking at. And almost without fail, will tell me what the artwork is as far as they're concerned, which has nothing to do with what the artwork really is.
The New South Wales Tissue Bank is the organisation that's responsible for when a person passes away and gives the intention that they wish to donate. Our staff get their consent and collect the eyes from these donors, bring it to the eye bank, and then that tissue is then assessed and we make sure that the tissue is healthy and suitable to be able to give sight to a recipient. We interface with the surgeons in New South Wales and their patients and try and match those grafts to the patients. We do approximately 16 transplants every week. We have a team of wonderful transplant surgeons in New South Wales, and then patients are given the gift of sight. And from then, their role is to be able to look after that transplant and really have their lives enriched and their vision restored.
If people like my work, I want them to have a really wonderful time with it. I want them to live with it, and I want them to be able to tell stories about it. All my clients keep saying, people come in and ask us, what's that? And we get them to tell stories.
If I create a conversation amongst people, a creative conversation.
The world is about conversations, about differences and about differences of perception and all that. And that's how, in my view, we move forward. That's what humanity is about.